you wimp-lash? Bugface, spider-brain, dummy, fishy fools, muscle-bound buffoon.
That's a good one, Skeletor.
Quiet, or I'll turn you into a suitcase. I'll turn you into a paperweight. Just as I suspected. Hollow! Beastman, you clumsy oaf! Put your seatbelt on, worthless hunk of fur!
Hold it, Skeletor.
I have to be brilliant just to make up for them! What idiot started this whole thing anyway?
You did.
Yo, tribunal salute, all the cool geeks out there. Want to chop it up on some new news. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, did the trailer reaction recently. How much of 1983 or the 1980s can you reasonably bring into 2026? So, we saw them emphasize pronouns in the trailer. Now, there's an article out that I'm about to read out of Deadline, and the headline goes, Masters of the Universe director calls Jared Leto Skeletor the embodiment of toxic masculinity. Skeletor is many things. He's a villain, right? He's a bad guy. He's supposed to be many things that are not considered good. But we do know that toxic masculinity is a term that has become a thing in recent years, along with pronouns that they emphasize and made a point to show in the trailer. So we reacted to all of that. And I want to react to this. There's a sensitivity around things that wasn't. You know, in the 80s, the masculinity looked like big muscles, big guns, big voices, you know, a lot of action, a lot of explosion.
The 1980s, when American culture was at an all-time high and Hollywood blockbusters, MTV, and rock and wrestling ruled the world. In that era, a hyper-masculine style emerged, one of macho men with mullets, muscles, and machine guns, hot explosions, hotter babes, and radical guitar solos. This is 80s cool.
It was a great time, you know, and many things were over the top. Send a shout out to Sly Stallone for that one. You know, much movie about, you know, dads trying to get their kids and, you know, arm wrestling for their children and paternity rights and all kind of things. So it was a lot of cool stuff going on back then, and He-Man was definitely representative of all of that. Big swords, big guns, right? And yeah, so now, you know, you're gonna go back into that time and try to make a movie and make it fit in today's time. Maybe it just doesn't fit, and like I said, you know, you gotta love it or leave it alone, because the core audience is about probably 45 to 55, mostly males. And, you know, unless you're ready to, you know, step off into, if you want it to be if you want this movie to be successful and then be able to have a sequel and even maybe go into a She-Ra, Princess of Power movie, maybe you got to let the masculinity do what it used to do in this one, because the only people that's going to really have any affinity towards this movie and want to go see it and check for it are going to be those 45 to 55-year-olds primarily, and they may bring their children along if the kids are willing to tag along. But other than that, we could have just binged the series all over again, you know, wherever it's streaming at, or if you have the Blu-ray DVDs or whatever it may be. So anyway, toxic masculinity and how much of it is applicable to Skeletor, and is it really just coded language for things we need to watch out for when going to see this flick in June? Let's see. Toxic masculinity refers to a set of harmful, rigid social norms and cultural pressures that dictate men must be emotionally detached, hyper aggressive, and dominant to be considered truly masculine. It equates vulnerability with weakness, perpetuating misogyny, violence, and poor mental health by suppressing emotions and enforcing rigid gender roles. Now, I'm sure a lot of these things are where Skeletor would fall under the umbrella of many of these things. He's a villain, of course, right? But he was a damn good villain. What made him such a great villain? He's scary. He looks scary. Skeleton face, the bony face, the with a muscular body. It's a great contrast, and it worked under that hood. You know, walking around with the ram's head / Baphomet looking staff. Very creepy, glow up, you know, lit up, glowing red eyes. But just going by this definition, I'm wondering what would be toxic femininity, or all of these traits just, you know, just for men? Because I mean, a lot of these women could represent a lot of these things, and the gender lines are, you know, blurred and not, you know, as rigid as they say. Then, you know, I guess it's applicable to everybody, right? So, you know, just want to be careful with how you peg, you know, certain people, and, you know, just if you're concerned about not being offensive to folks, remember, men are people too. So, with that being said, let's go into the Deadline article. Once again, the headline goes, Masters of the Universe director calls Jared Leto Skeletor the embodiment of toxic masculinity. As the Masters of the Universe makes its way to the big screen, one of Saturday morning cartoon's most iconic villains is getting its cinematic treatment. It already did that in '87 and it failed. Let's hope that this is much better. Director Travis Knight recently teased the Jared Leto voice version of Skeletor in the Amazon MGM Studios Mattel live-action film premiering June 5th in theaters, noting that he let the actor swing for the fences with his portrayal. Skeletor is a really interesting villain. He told Empire he looked cool, he was scary, he was funny, he was insecure, and then, of course, he had this distinctive voice. Now, in my opinion, that Skeletor voice should always be synonymous with the character. In the Netflix version of it a couple of years ago, Mark Hamill, I think, did a good job as Skeletor, voice acting as him. The only issue was we already heard the original Skeletor's voice. So, with already having that voice and now hearing what Mark Hamill's take was, all I heard for the most part was the Batman the Animated Series 1992 Joker's voice. Sounded damn near exactly the same. So with that being said, it was like it would have been fine if we didn't already have, you know, the original. Now, in the age of AI, let's use the AI powers for good. If the original voice actor from 1983, who I believe is still alive, if he's too old and can't be casted as a voiceover while allowing Jared Leto to just act as Skeletor, but use the voice of that actor, then use AI to overdo that voice, because it needs to be the same thing as what James Earl Jones was doing when he voiced Darth Vader. And it doesn't matter if Disney now has the character versus what George Lucas had. Darth Vader has to always sound like James Earl Jones, while there's another actor in the suit. Period. Has to be that way. And I believe Skeletor should receive the same treatment. So, back to the article. Knight added, I wanted someone to craft their own version of that. Jared approached us because he loves Skeletor and has his own history with the character. He wanted to swing for the fences, and ultimately we landed on something that I'm really happy with. Skeletor is kind of the embodiment of toxic masculinity. Okay. They made sure we saw the pronouns in the trailer. Now they're talking toxic masculinity. All right. Let's see what we're going to get on June 5th. Let's see if they're going to, go down some weird rabbit hole that, is going to be very off-putting to that male 45 to 55 audience that I was just mentioning. Also, Jared Leto, I don't really like his work too much. I didn't really care for him and the little bit I saw of him as a Joker, and I definitely didn't like him as Morbius. So, but I still think he could wear the costume and he could wear the makeup, he could wear the mask, whatever, but the voice definitely needs to be worked over some other way, but not left up to him. So, let's see. He would also need to embody, the charisma of the Joker. Like I say, like the Joker or like Negan from The Walking Dead. They're charismatic, they're smart, funny. Things like that need to be done so that way we can get a really good villain. Because the hero's only as good as the villain. The only reason the hero exists is because there was somebody doing something wrong. So there needed to be a force that can challenge whoever decided to go left. So if all things were good, there would be no need for the hero, to protect the people and, just just to be a protector. So they need to complement each other. Otherwise, the hero, and I think that was a big part of what, sidebar, I think that was a big part of what was wrong with a lot of the Iron Man movies. Robert Downey Jr. was casted great, but the villains were never great in those movies. The first one, Obadiah, something or another, he was good, but after that, all of the other Iron Man movies were not great, in my opinion. But anyway, let's see. With the first trailer dropping last month, fans got a glimpse of Skeletor facing off against Nicholas Galatazin's He-Man. The Chris Butler penned movie from the first draft by David Callahan and Aaron and Adam Nee also stars Camila Mendes as Tila, Alison Brie as Evelyn, Idris Elba as Duncan Man-at-Arms, Sam E. Wilson and Trapjaw, Haftar Bajorson as Goatman. Not familiar with that character, Goatman. I don't remember him. They could have put in Sunman. That was a brother in there. They could have did that, and they didn't need to race swap. Maybe they wouldn't have felt the need to race swap Man-at-Arms, and they could have used Idris Elba as Sunman. That would have been dope. If anybody remembers him. I don't even think he was in the cartoon. I think they just made the toy out of him. There's a story behind that. But anyway, go into that another time. As Malcolm and Fisto and Morena Baccarin as the sorceress. Now, if they really want to go 2026 with it, they should holler at Mason Cam and Dame Dash, so that way every time there's a scene or Fisto's name is mentioned, they could go pause all over that.
Jason Tatum pretty hard, so I'm not gonna say that.
Tatum is hard.
Welcome to the show.
We wouldn't know nothing about that.
So I was so taken aback. Pause. I really wanted to pray.
You're gonna have to pause Fisto. Anyway, Masters of the Universe follows 10-year-old Prince Adam, who crashed to Earth in a spaceship and was separated from his magical power sword, the only link to his home on Eternia. After tracking it down almost 2 decades later, Prince Adam is whisked back across space to defend his home planet against the evil forces of Skeletor. But to defeat such a powerful villain, Prince Adam will first need to uncover the mysteries of his past and become He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. This is another voice that they need to get right too, because when he turns into He-Man in front of Castle Grayskull and he pulls out his sword, and he's getting ready to turn into from Prince Adam into He-Man, and then he turns Cringer into Battle Cat, and he says he has the power. That amplified voice was it right there, and it used to get us all hyped. So they should definitely AI that as well, because I know the guy that did that voice in 1983, he passed on recently. So they should definitely use those AI powers for good, like I said, and then apply it here if they can use it to replicate those voices, specifically Skeletor throughout the entire movie, and He-Man in those moments where he's transitioning from Prince Adam into He-Man. So I hope they do it right, and anything effeminate they want to do, wait for She-Ra, Princess of Power.
For the honor of Grayskull!
On that note, like, share, subscribe, and if you're a He-Man fan, let me know in the comments what you think about this news, He-Man overall, and what you're anticipating for this movie. So, tribunal salute to all the cool geeks out there. Peace out. Cups up.
Within us all live a Superman. Within our souls to survive.